Hey everybody, welcome back to another movie review. Hope you guys have been enjoying the content on the channel as of late, and this one will be rather short just because the time of which I dedicate to the film was rather short. Um, so we'll just get into it. So the film that we're going to be talking about today is Turtles All the Way Down, which was directed by Hannah Marks, who previously directed, as I look here, um, previously directed films such as Don't Make Me Go, which had John Cho, and After Everything, which I'm not entirely sure what that's about. But this stars Isabella Merced, formerly known as Isabella Moner. She plays Azza, I believe that's her name. She is a high school girl, and she struggles with obsessive compulsive disorder, aka OCD. And there is a friend of hers named Daisy, and they both catch wind of a a dilemma happening to a an old interest of Aza's by the name of Davis. He's a rich guy, rich boy, comes from a rich family, and the family seems to be going through some issues, and um, there is potential gain for these two characters in that of $100,000, and they decide to infiltrate this family business, and in that, Isabel Merced character reconnects with Davis, and they two start to form something of a bond. And within that, she also tries to confront her OCD, trying to deal with that, while also grappling with now this interest, this new thing, this new idea in her life, which is this love shit. Um, so so here's the thing. I could give little to no. I just could care less about this film. I mean, I had zero interest to watch the film, but the only reason why I dedicated any time to this is I wanted to see the representation of OCD because um, I've never discussed it, but I do deal with OCD personally, and I was curious to see how they would portray the condition. And I must say that the highlight of the film is a lot to do with a technical appearance. The technicality, specifically in the style and its edits, and a lot of the sounds, are very informative and very representative of OCD. I think they have a very dead-on presentation of OCD. Um, it's a very specific form of OCD, because OCD leans on fears primarily, our thought processes and fears of certain things that may or may not happen, a what if type scenario. And in the case of this, it's the fear of germs, the fear of bacteria. Um, and some people might say, well, she might be just a germaphobe then, but, in how they show you her thought spirals and how she is dealing with these potential threats, she very much so is absolutely dealing with OCD. That sort of the glitches and that anxiety that builds and the lack of a self-awareness, when those episodes start to become more prominent, it's very accurate. And as someone who deals with OCD, I can tell you that as a very accurate depiction as how OCD develops. Um, so I think on that end, it's very, very accurate. And I think that they present it very formally, very informatively, and I think that it plays very well to that specific character, giving her characterizations and certain developments that, again, that are interesting, mainly in a technical front, and to some extent giving her some sort of characterization. But beyond that, though, what you get is just essentially a teen romance film, a YA film. This is based off of a novel, and I just I just could care less about teen romance stories because teen and romance do not go together at all. There's no romance to speak of. It's just attraction. That's all it is. There's no romance to it in the center of this stuff. I mean, come on. Um, and the story, just the story itself, is just so thinly plotted, I mean, it's just as I described it. I mean, basically, it's just two girls try to find a boy's father for profit, and boy and one girl get together, and that's basically it. And um, there's just like stuff about it. Like I'll tell you this much. Like I said up front, I gave the film a certain amount of time. That time was about 40 minutes, and it just was excruciatingly annoying. Like just at every turn, not only with just the characters, which by the way I think that performance-wise are very stiff. I don't think that the actors seem to specifically care in what they're doing. I think it's more or less to do with the filmmaking that's kind of gives it some sort of uh, some relevancy, some interest. Again, with how they present OCD, I think it can be interesting in that regard. But when we get let the performances be as just let them be, they seem like they can care less, or perhaps it is just the manner of what they're playing, like 16, 17 year olds in this generation, which, yes, are very stiff and boring and not that interesting, or in the case of Isabella Moner's friend, extremely annoying, you know? Um, so, I mean, perhaps it is accurate, but it does not look as so that the acting itself is of a certain caliber. It just feels very, very stiff. It looks like they just don't really care. Um, and like I said, just the plot itself, like the point of which I decided to just shut the whole thing off, because at that by this point I was just like just completely tuned out. I just did not care one bit. I don't care about these sort of stories. I never have cared, because they don't add any weight. They don't have any substance. It's just meaningless stories. Like there's no romance to speak of when it comes to team dilemmas and stuff like that. This is just like like I wouldn't say petty, but it's just like who what's the relation here? Like what you know? Like I don't see why I need to care. And the point of which I just said, you know what, I just don't care at all anymore, is when the boy, who by the way is a millionaire, I mean he's like I said, he's just has tons of money, lives in a mansion which looks more like a hotel if you ask me, but um he has like $100,000 just lying around for some reason. Again, I just plot wise, I just stopped caring at some point. So rhyme or reason, all that stuff, comprehension, it just kind of fell out the window because of just, for one thing, Isabella Moner's girlfriend or friend character just being just absolutely annoying, and this just commitment to just showcasing like just them as teenagers, or like people in my age like acting like this way as well. It's not interesting, it's not relatable, it's just so annoying. Like, oh, have you ever seen a dick pic before? Not kidding, that's a line in the film. And like th- it's developments that are just, again, just excruciatingly annoying. But the point of which I stopped watching the film was when this boy is is mingling with Isabella's character. He decides, you know what? I'm just gonna give you $100,000. You know why? Not because for any other real good narrative reason. He tries to say like, oh well, it's because my father, he's uses money for really bad reasons, and it's just ridiculous what his money goes towards. Blah 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 blah. He's saying like, oh, how dare he, or he's just not thinking straight, whatever. And and then what he does is that he gives this $100,000 to her purely because he finds her attractive. That's it. No other reason for it. No other like crazed reason for it. No other like great in-depth reason for it that moves the story in other meaningful ways. No, it's just because I think you're hot. I'll just give you $100,000. And he's talking about like, oh well, my dad is not responsible with his money, or wow, he doesn't really consider what he's giving his money towards, certain causes and stuff like that. And here's this just this just this imbecile, just whatever, a teenager giving someone $100,000 purely because they find that person attractive. And so at that point I just decided, you know what, I have had enough of this, and I just decided to turn it off. And I could really care less as to what happens next. I presume that they get together at some point, just because. it's how these stories go, and it's just I've never found these stories interesting at all. I've never understood the purpose for them. I don't understand this, like, who is the target audience for this? Like just 15, 16 year olds, really? I mean, people who don't have any real judgment at all, who don't understand anything except that they find this person attractive. Like, just it's just annoying. It was just incredibly annoying, and I just didn't care to watch it anymore. But it gets marks mainly for its representation in OCD, which I think is very accurate. But it only is there to give the film something of a style, because if you remove the OCD elements, the whole presentation of OCD, if you remove that characteristic, or that just that person, that's that trait, and or that's that specific thing with that character, if you remove that, man, is this just disposable? Like, just man. So so it gets marks on its technical features, but everything else. so so yeah, so those are my thoughts on Turtles all the way down. Just I really could care less. I gave it a chance. Like I said, I gave it a chance. Gave it 40 minutes, but the point of which the money was given, I was like, okay, I am just done. This is just so like thin, so ridiculous, and I'm tempted to say petty just by just what is happening in the story, and incredibly annoying. Absolutely annoying. That character, like Isabel Moner's friend, like the moment I don't know if it has to do with the performer or if it has to do with the writing. Maybe it's both. I just don't really care. So I think that's just the way I'll just leave it. But those are my thoughts on Turtles All the Way Down. You guys let me know your thoughts on Turtles All the Way Down if you guys have seen it, and for anybody who also deals with OCD, you guys let me know your thoughts on the representation of OCD. It's not a topic that's really discussed in film all too much. I think Nicolas Cage did a film once where he played a character that had OCD, but this is one of those few times where a film actually deals with OCD, or at least addresses OCD. So, um, but but let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And that's gonna be it for this video, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in, and until then, I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye.